Hi, today I'm at St Fergus and the plan is to walk up to the coast and spend the night camping in some World War II defences. Now, I don't think I'll get disturbed by any dog walkers. It's, you know, a bit off the beaten track, but one problem I may have is if I turn round, you can see that. Yeah, behind me, or just over there now, is a massive gas refinery, the St Fergus gas refinery. It's probably the biggest in Britain, and that place is guarded by the Ministry of Defence Police, so armed police guard and patrol the perimeter fence. Where I'm going to be camping, pretty darn close to that perimeter fence, and the mod plods, well, they get a bit jumpy about you being anywhere near the fence, so I'm going to have to keep it a bit low key, because if a man with a machine gun tells me I've got to leave, yeah, I'm going to be leaving, so I don't want that to happen. So I'm going to walk up here. I've got about, what, half an hour walk over the brow of the hill, and then I'll show you which choices we've got, because there's quite a lot of pillboxes up here to pick from, and I'll give you a little bit more information about why they're there and the history of them when we get a bit nearer. Okay, I'll yomp on. Well, that's me at the top of the hill, and yeah, that was harder work than I remembered. So behind me, you should be able to see, hang on, if I swing the camera, you should be able to see a line of 4 or maybe even 5 pillboxes. In fact, I'll turn the camera around briefly and let you show where they are. Yeah, so there's kind of 5 going that way, and there's probably another 10 going that way, and this is the Rattray stop. Now, the first one I've checked out. The second 2 are pretty much full of cow poop, and they are in the dog walking zone, so I'm not going to go to them. This nearest one, I checked it out the other day, and it's a bit muddy, but it's a doer. We could use that one, but I know that there's another one just ahead in the sand dunes. So I'm going to go over and I'll have a look at that one, and when I get there I'll tell you a little bit about the history of why we've got so many pillboxes and other defences on this remote beach. So I'm going to yomp away and take you to the next pillbox. Well, there you go, I found it. I've never found this one before, and I should have known. It's perfectly in line with the other 5. Over to my right is also a massive ditch, and I'll talk about that when I'll tell you the history, but that's man-made as well. So let's go and walk over and see if this one is, well, whether we're going to be able to camp in it. Because some of these, the nearer you get to habitation, they tend to be full of broken glass and rubbish and whatnot. But I think we're far enough away from people here for this one to be possibly good for camping in. So we're going to have a look. Oh, well, that's gonna... Okay, well, like a lot of these, this one is quite silted up. There's a lot of sand gone inside it. These sand dunes, they're constantly moving, and this big bank behind us was probably not here when this was built. So I'm going to take my rucksack off, and I'm going to crawl inside and see if it's solid enough to camp in there, because I have got a shovel with me, but that could be too much sand to dig out. So we'll have a look. I'll lay the camera down, take my sack off and crawl in and see what we've got. Okay, that's me inside, and I reckon this will work perfectly. It's a bit dirty, need a bit of a clean up, but thankfully I've got a shovel and a brush with me, and I'll soon make this place habitable. So I think what I'll do before I set up in here is I'll take the camera outside and I'll tell you a little bit about the history of why these things are here. So let's go outside in the daylight while I've still got some. So you've got to ask yourself why a remote stretch of northern Scottish coastline has got so many defences. We have got 15 or 20 concrete pillboxes, we've got massive glider ditches, anti-glider ditches, we've got tank traps, concrete blocks. Well, it seems a bit disproportionate for such a remote place, but I'll tell you why. But first I need to give you a kind of background of what was going on at the time these were built. So in 1939, in about September, the British sent the British Expeditionary Force over to France with the idea to give the German army a bloody nose and send them back to Germany. Well, didn't quite pan out like that, and the German army appeared to be a lot more organised and a lot more well equipped than we were expecting. And by May 1940, the British Expeditionary Force had suffered massive losses, and they had to retreat rather rapidly back to the French coast to be evacuated back to Britain. And that's what went on. Now, around about the same time, the German army had invaded Denmark and Norway using a very unusual technique never seen before. They used paratroops and gliders, and they had occupied Norway and Denmark. Now, about June time, the Spooky Dukes started hearing about Operation Sea Lion, a German operation to invade Britain. Now, up until this point, it was not even considered possible that the Germans would invade Britain, and now it was a real thing. And we had a problem. The problem was most of our heavy artillery and tanks had been left behind in France during the retreat, and we were back in Britain licking our wounds a bit and, you know, rebuilding. Now, the man who was put in charge of coastal defence and home defence was a chap called General William Edmund Ironside. Yeah, that was his name. And when he was given the task about 3 months earlier, he kind of considered it as the kind of wooden spoon. You know, nobody thought that the island of Great Britain was under threat, and because he was an old dude who'd fought in the First World War, he thought he was kind of getting a consolation prize. Well, turned out that wasn't the case, and in June of 1940, Churchill, the new Prime Minister, summoned him to Downing Street to ask what his plan was. And that's where this comes in. Now, old Ironside was a clever guy, and he recognised that we hadn't got enough troops to man all of the gun emplacements around Britain. But what he did do is he looked at the information coming out about Operation Sea Lion and recognised that the biggest German push was going to be on the south coast of England. The Channel is the smallest body of water, it's the easiest to cross. It's also, you know, near London and all the sites of habitation. So we knew the Germans were going to come across there, and he built what he called the coastal crust. He put gun emplacements and big pillboxes and, you know, barbed wire systems down there. But, and this was the but that made this relevant, was they also thought that there would be a two-prong attack, and that as Norway, which is over there, had been occupied by the Germans successfully using gliders and paratroops, these long flat beaches in the east coast of Scotland were prime for an invasion from Norway, and they really thought that this was going to be the second front. So they built another coastal crust here with all the gun emplacements, and this is referred to as the Rattray stop line. Over there in the distance is the Rattray Head lighthouse, and the gun emplacements ran all the way along here. Now, the plan wasn't to have them manned all the time. There was an airbase over there and an airbase over there, and the idea was if they sensed an invasion coming this way, these gun emplacements would be staffed by people from the air bases and the local home guard. Just enough time to slow them down. Now, the idea of the stop lines were wherever there was a natural kind of pinch point, a bridge, a gorge, a river, they would put pillboxes, and local home defence teams would staff them. And the idea would be to slow down an advancing army just enough to bring what tanks and armour we'd got up towards them to hold them back or destroy them. Now, it wasn't the best idea, but it was what we'd got at the time, and That's what they did. They built these very rapidly in 1940, and they were never used. The invasion never came, and by September, which is when it was planned for, Hitler cancelled Operation Sea Lion, and the main reason he cancelled it was he didn't get air superiority. The plucky RAF, they held off the Luftwaffe, and they turned out to be a lot more effective than the Germans were expecting, and without air superiority they were never going to be able to invade. So by September time they were cancelled, but the local home defence teams, they still practiced using these, and the drills went on for the remainder of the war, just in case a second invasion came. So there you go. Now I hope that wasn't too lengthy, but that's why we've got so many pillboxes along this coast, and most of them are pretty much intact. You get the ones nearer the town are full of rubbish because kids have been in them, and the ones out on the coast tend to be full of sand, but they're still here, and it's a lasting reminder of our preparation for war. Now down in front of me is also some big ditches, and these are the anti-glider ditches, and they were designed to basically break up gliders as they came in. So I'm going to go inside and start setting up for the night. So that's it, a bit cleaner now. I've given it a sweep around, and mainly I just didn't, if the wind gets up, I didn't want all the bits of concrete showering me in the middle of the night. So the plan is, it's got a lot of sand on the floor, and I've left most of it in place. I picked all the rocks out of it, and I think what I'm going to do, I've got a big tarp I'm going to lay on the floor, and then put my bed mat on that and sleep directly on the floor. But over this doorway here, this doorway, the one I stooped down to get into, I'm going to put a line across between the two kind of view holes either side of it, and I'm going to hang a tarp over there, so the night time when I'm on the floor, I've got a bit of protection from any wind or weather coming in through that door. But so I'm going to set the doorway up now, and I'm going to get my cooker out, and I'll come back to you once I've done all of that. So I'll see you when I'm set up. Okay, so it's kind of 4 o'clock, well, it's just before 4 o'clock, and sun's down, it's pretty much dark outside, although weirdly it doesn't look like it is through that window, but it is, it's pitch black outside. And I think it's time for a beer, but before I do that, I'll show you what I'm going to be cooking on tonight. Now, my last video, you'll have seen me having trouble with my jet boil clone, my fire maple, which has been a cracking stove, but it really did not like the sub-zero temperatures. So my good wife, Mrs. Pongster, bought me an early birthday present, or sorry, an early Christmas present. And it's this wonderful Coleman mountain stove. It has a preheat circuit on it and a remote gas cylinder. So, you know, if it's really, really cold, you can use liquid gas. But it also uses these extreme -25 canisters, which I've seen other people using. And it comes with a kind of pot with a windshield built into it, and that fits on there. And it's also got a piezo igniter, so you kind of switch it on and it says E. Like that. And it roars away. So I shall be using that to make my spicy noodles in a couple of hours or so. But for now, I'm going to have some Glencannick Brewery Christmas Red Ale. So, but I don't know, sitting in a concrete box doesn't really feel very Christmassy. Oh, hang on. There we go. Merry Christmas. Oh, I wasn't expecting that. That's got kind of Christmassy spice in it. Yeah, that's a bit odd. Not sure if I like that, but I shall drink it. It's got allspice and cinnamon and cloves in it. God, that's like Christmas pudding beer. Okay, I think they might grow on me, but yeah. I know, not very stealth, but weirdly, you can't see that outside. This is so thick concrete, and
It's sitting below the window line, so we're pretty stealthy. In fact, the only thing you can see from outside is the camera light, which I'm going to be turning off in a minute. So I shall have my beer. I'll bring you back. I've had my boiler on and I've made my spicy noodles. So, until then, beer. Okay, tonight we've got hot and spicy noodles, plus pepper armies and ambrosia rice pudding cold for afters. So I'll fire up the stove and get some water on for the noodles. That's been about 10 minutes and they're nice and softened up now. It's getting a bit chilly in here now. Who'd have thought a concrete box in December would be cold? So I've got my down on, I've got my Gore-Tex on, I've got my long johns on, and I'm sitting on something because this concrete block, because everything is just poured concrete, is seriously cold. It's in my breath in the air. It's about 2 or 3 degrees Celsius. Alright. Well, let's. There we go. Fantastic stuff. I will spare you watching me eat because, well, I don't want to watch other people eating their videos, so I'm pretty sure you don't want to watch me eat because slurping these down is going to be a messy affair. So I'll see you when I've finished. Lots of spicy noodles done. Absolutely top drawer. Always a winner for me. And now, because it's my Christmas dinner, I've got some cold rice pudding out of the tin and Galaxy hot chocolate with a good slug of rum in it. Now, you either like cold rice pudding or you don't, but for me, that's a proper luxury. And yeah, it's heavy and all that lot to carry, but I think it's worth it. So I'm going to scoff that down and drink that, and I'll get back to you, because as I said before, you really don't need to see me sticking that in my face. So I'll get back to you in a minute. Okay, that's me fed and watered, and I'm just about set up now for my pit. I'll let you see. I'll put some light on and let you see where we are. So that's my cooking setup over there. I'm leaving that for the morning. That's my door. Just a cord, a couple of prusik knots, a big lump of concrete I found in here. My boots and my bag are over there, and my spade. And what I've done to sleep on is I've got a big tarp on the floor with a NATO roll mat and a Leviathan sleeping bag. There you go, that's me set up for the night, sleeping on the floor. I reckon there's about 3 or 4 inches of sand on the floor, pretty hard packed. And then on top of that, I've got my big thick tarp and a Dutch NATO Army roll mat, quite a thick one. And on top of that, I'm sleeping in a, an OEX Leviathan 4-5 season bag. Pretty good bag, so I should be toasty warm tonight. All I gotta do is not roll off the tarp and roll into the sand, but I've kind of got it double width, so I should be all right. So I think what I'll do is I'm gonna go and listen to a talking book, and I'll see you in the morning. Unless something happens in the night, but I don't think it will. Well, I'll see if you can see the torch out the window. That over there, I'll show you where I am. I'm by the refinery, and you can see a flame just out there, just flickering away. I don't know if you can see it. Just over there. And one there. So that's the flame stacks, and sometimes you can make out the lighthouse just over there, but I don't think anybody's going to find me because I'm just behind a sand dune here. So I reckon I should be fine. But if anything happens in the night, I'll switch my camera on. Until then, I'll see you in the morning. See you in the morning. Ta-da.
Well, this is a bit of a shocker. I've just had a phone call from my wife, telling me that the police are about to tow my car because I'm parked on Ministry of Defence land. That's kind of news to me, so I've had to bug out pretty quick, and I'm walking in the pitch black to try and get back to my car. So let's see how this turns out. Fucking hell. I'm fucking knackered is what I am. I've just yonked from the beach to get... Give my wife a fright. You tell her that you're going to tow my car. Car at the end. I do hope it's not been towed. No, the person who came to her door told her I was parked on Ministry of Defence land and that they were going to tow my car. And my wife rang me up in a fucking almighty panic.
No. Just that your van was parked there. You're obviously taking pictures close to the site. That was
Nowhere near the site I am.
No, just because your van was there.
Yeah, no, I realise that. Well, that's me back at the van. It hasn't been towed, but I have been told to go home. And I've left half of the kit in that bunker, so I'll have to go back tomorrow. But yeah, no, it's not great running around this field in the dark in a big pair of walking boots. So I will do a debrief when I get home. Well, good morning. Yeah, that wasn't the night I expected. I certainly didn't expect to have to bug out in the middle of the night and go home. So it's the next morning, and I'm walking back to the scene of the crime to go and collect the rest of my stuff that was left behind when I bugged out. So I thought this was an opportune time to do the wash up and the pros and cons of the trip. Well, pros, fantastic spot, really amazing bit of history, in very good condition. I mean, it's starting to fill up with sand and the dunes are starting to reclaim it like most things down there, but the spot is really good. The new cooker is amazing. I mean, it is a jet burner. I mean, it is an amazing cooker, so I'm very impressed. So thank you, Mrs. P, for that. And well, Mrs. P, now the cons. Police Scotland, you need to get a grip of yourself. You cannot go round to someone's house in the dead of night and batter on the door like the place is on fire. That is proper shit. And well, if you didn't quite pick it up what had gone on, my car was parked at the side of the road and I'd walked a couple of miles inland to camp, and my car was parked perfectly legally, nowhere near the gas refinery, and you know, it was doing nothing wrong. And for some reason, some overzealous copper seemed to think that I was a terrorist and that my van was parked on Ministry of Defence land. And in the process of asking my wife where I was, he also threatened to arrest her and tow my car. So, Police Scotland, get your shit together. That was pretty poor. Anyway, sorry, good lady wife. I didn't mean to put you in that situation. So, other than that, it had the potential to be a really good trip, and it had the potential to have a really good star lapse, but obviously, well, sun's in my eyes, obviously star lapse was cut short and it didn't happen. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. It was a bit of fun up until the point where I got woke up in the middle of the night. I think it's a great spot, and yeah, I may come back again, who knows. But anyway, that was that. So if you enjoyed the video, give me a thumbs up. Leave me a comment, please do. And until the next one, I will say ta-da. Ta-da a bit. Ta-da.